All right, today we are making Nanny Bland's Apple Crisp. It is a family recipe of my husband's and they love it. I think he will too. Anyways, we're gonna start by reading the recipe so that we know what we're doing. So 1/2 cup of real butter. 1/2 cup is 1 stick of butter. 3/4 of a cup of flour. I pulled out, because we don't have any 3/4 cups, I pulled a 1/2 cup and a 1/4 cup out because that's how you make 3/4 of a cup the easy way. You could do the 1/4 3 times, but I find that redundant. I'd rather do it twice. 1 teaspoon optional of cinnamon. You don't have to put cinnamon in. It does not call for cinnamon. I know that's weird because it's apple crisp, but we're not putting it in today. You can put it in if you want to, totally fine. 1 cup of sugar, and then 1 pound of apples. Directions: preheat the oven to 375. So to do so, you're going to, I'm going to turn this off so I can do it from the get-go. Push bake, go up to 375, and then push start. That's it. I do want to mention that you should look to make sure the oven rack is in the center before you do that, because you don't want to burn Nanny Bland's Apple Crisp. Number 2, we are going to wash and slice the apples. Make sure you use your brush, and I'm going to show you how to peel these with this peeler, though we already did that in the past. We're going to slice our apples using the same knife skills that you learned from our knife skills unit. Then, number 3, layer the apples in the bottom of a greased 8x8 square baking pan. Number 4, use the pastry cutter to combine the butter, flour, optional cinnamon, and sugar until it's nice and crumbly. Number 5, layer the butter mixture on top of the apples that are inside this baking pan. Then you are going to label a Post-it note with your kitchen color and your class period. And if you have a group number, label it with the group number. And then place it on your stovetop so that when it comes out of the oven by your teacher or somebody in the next class period, because you did a good job setting a timer, they can put the Post-it note with your Apple Crisp. It bakes for about 30 minutes. So again, set a timer and you're going to cook until the top is golden brown and the apples are tender. Should be about 30 minutes. All right, now we are going to move on with our recipe. So as I mentioned when I was reading over the recipe, I'm using a 1/2 and a 1/4 cup to make 3/4 of a cup of flour. So you could do the 1/4 cup 3 times, but I just find this more efficient to do it twice instead of 3 times. So mix up your flour and put it gently into your cup and level it off. Each one of your kitchens should have one of these levels in the container that holds all of your measuring spoons. I'm going to measure it directly into this bowl because it goes into this bowl together with the other ingredients that we're going to measure. So it just makes sense to measure it directly into the mixing bowl. So I suggest bringing that to the ingredient table on your lunch tray. Now we're going to do 1 cup of sugar. And then we are also going to do 1/2 a cup of butter, which is 1 stick. This is cold and this is real butter. First we're going to wash our apples. No, actually first we're going to measure our apples. So I have a scale here and I have turned it to pound. You can push the unit button to get it to the unit you need it to be. There we go. We're on pound. I'm going to put my basket on here. It is at 0 because I already had the basket on there, but to get it to 0, you push the tare button or the 0 button, which is also the on-off. So now we are going to put apples in this basket on the ingredient table until you reach 1 pound. All right, I'm at 1.43. I'm just going to use this amount here. I want to get to as close of a pound as I can, but your teacher bought extra apples this time around, so it's okay to be a little bit over. So we're just going to use 3 apples. Next, we are going to wash our apples. So we are going to peel these. So washing this is just a way to make sure we get any kind of pesticides or whatever they used to spray on these apples off of our apples. Okay, so now we're going to peel our apples. You all have these new beautiful peelers. Use the one that matches your kitchen color and give it back to me at the end of the hour. To grease our baking pan over top of the garbage can so we don't cause a slipping hazard. Then as we cut our apples, we're simply going to put it right into this greased pan. So to cut our apples, we're going to cut on either side of the core all the way around. So I'm going to start by cutting here. You can see I cut on the side of the core. Cut here, here, and here. There we go. So some of that core is part of my poundage. I bet you anything if I measured how heavy this is, it would be about 3 or 1 pound. Now that I've removed the core, see, there we go. It works out. So we're trying to make our slices consistent in width so that they bake evenly. Okay, now we're just gonna mix them all around. Ta-da! We're ready to move on to the next step of the recipe. We're gonna cut it in with our pastry cutter till it's nice and crumbly. Point, we are going to take our crumbly topping, which take a good close look at this. Basically, you can't tell the difference between flour versus sugar versus butter. It's just all one giant crumbly thing. So we're going to evenly distribute it very carefully amongst or on top of our apples. All right, we're going to try to even it out as best we can. Try not to put too much near the edges because you don't want it to come over and spill out. If you're worried that it's going to come over and spill out, we can always put a baking sheet covered with foil underneath it and then put it in the oven. So at this point, I am going to put this in the oven and I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. Stick it right in the center. Now we are going to set a timer and I'm going to remind you how to do this. Push timer, go up to 30, and then push timer again, or you can push start. That's it. At this point, clean your kitchens. Make sure you put your Post-it note labeled on your stovetop with your kitchen color, group number, class period. I know if you're a class where everybody cooks on the same day, you don't have to put the group number because you don't have group numbers.